Hi, I'm Christy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm here with the epitome of forced proximity romances. So I have some snowed in romance recs for you. I am so excited for this video today. I love forced proximity romances, and Snowed In just creates like the perfect amount of tension and like those winter vibes. I'm so excited. I'm even wearing my baby it's too cold outside, I'm going to stay inside and read a book hoodie. This is from Hello Lovely Box. So if you want to twin with me, definitely check out their website. My code is ChristyReadsALot15 and you'll save 15% on your orders if you go in at shop Hello Lovely. I love their stuff so much. So I had to wear this one for like the Snowed In forced proximity romance recs we're going to talk about today. All right, so I have 24 romance recs for you today for the Snowed In romance trope, and I am so excited. I'm going to keep them pretty short and sweet. I have read all of these but three, but the other three are on my TBR. So we're just going to quickly get into them. If you want like full reviews, all my thoughts on the books, I've reviewed all the ones that I've read, and you get to get to my Goodreads reviews through the description of my video. So with that out of the way, let's just quickly get into it because I'm so excited for so many of these books. They just bring the perfect like winter vibes. So let's get into these. I'm going to list all of the books and the authors in the description of the video as well. That way, if you miss one, you can go back and see what I was talking about because I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. All right, first up is That Christmas Kind of Feeling by Hannah Bird. This is a novella. I read this one last winter and loved it so much I gave it 5 stars. This one is so stinking cute. So in here, the hero and the heroine are co-workers, and the heroine agrees to kind of look after the hero's house and I believe his pet for him while he's going to be out of town for like the Christmas season. And so she goes over to his house and she doesn't know that the hero has been kind of into her for a while, and he thinks it's obvious. She is not picking up the hints. And so anyways, she goes to his house and is there to like figure out what she's gonna do, what she needs to watch and house sit and all of those things. And so he ends up like telling her all the things, gets ready to leave, and when he goes to leave, he realizes that it's a huge snowstorm and he can't get out of his driveway, and so they have to end up staying together. They lose power at one point. It's just so stinking cute and good. Like I said, it's a novella, but I had such a fun time with this one. It's on KU. The next one is The Christmas Blanket by Candy Steiner. I know I've recommended this one in a few different holiday romance videos because I love this book. 2 pieces, or novella I should say, because it is a really short little novella. This one released years ago and I love it so much. So basically this is a second chance romance between a divorced couple. So they were previously married. Basically the heroine ends up coming back to their hometown to visit some family, and on her way she ends up kind of getting into a Snowden situation with her car. So the hero goes out to kind of rescue whoever got stuck outside of his place, and it ends up being the heroine, who is his ex-wife. And so he invites her back into his cabin with him, and they have to go through all of their kind of old feelings and old memories, and everything just comes like flooding back. It's so good. Second chance, angsty. I love this one to pieces. It's a novella, so it's super short and sweet, also on KU. Then we have Snowed In with a Player by Rebecca Jinchak. This one is again another novella. I really enjoyed this one. This is part of her Holidays with the Players, kind of like 2 bind-up novella series. So the series follows 2 sisters, and this is one of the twin sisters' story. So this one, the heroine and her sister are on their Christmas vacation from college, and they go to their family's like little cabin, and their brother is there as well and has invited a lot of his sports kind of friends and teammates. And so the heroine and the hero, who is one of her brother's best friends and teammates, they end up getting snowed in together, and there's like some mutual pining and crushing, and it's so cute and charming. We get another like lost power situation, and I love the connection that the hero has with the heroine's family and kind of this like found family aspect. A really cute little like college vacation romance. So the next one is a historical romance. So this is Snowbound with a Viscount by Shanna Galen. This one is a novella, and this one has a brother's best friend. It's a fake engagement. Like I said, it's a short novella, like less than 100 pages. I really, really enjoyed this one. So in this one, the heroine is a young widow, and she's kind of been in mourning for 3 years, and she's not really in the holiday spirit, but her friend ends up inviting her to a holiday party. At first, she says no to the house party, but then she realizes that the hero is going to be there, who is her older brother's best friend, and she has always crushed on him, so she decides to go. So unbeknownst to her, the hero is actually into her as well, so there's like mutual pining. He doesn't realize it. He kind of thinks they're only friends, and he doesn't know if she sees him as anything other than that. This one, I loved it. It's so cute. I love a house party, and so that already kind of creates this forced proximity. They get snowed in, and basically in here, the heroine's reputation is kind of in danger at one point. So the hero kind of rushes to her rescue and offers up this fake engagement. It's so charming and cute. A lot of like wintry moments as well. I love this one. Highly recommend. All right, next up is Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. I love this one to pieces. I've read a couple of this author's Christmassy holiday winter romances and have loved all of them. I've given all of them 5 stars. This one was so much fun. So in this one, the story starts off with the heroine being a runaway bride from her own wedding, and then we cut to 5 years later, and she has to return home for the holiday season, and she's not really looking forward to it. She recently just got broken up with for like the 4th time that year. Her ex-fiance is engaged, and she's just like not in the mood. So she ends up going to this Dublin pub, and that's where she runs into the hero. They actually grew up in the same small town and kind of know one another, and so they strike up a conversation conversation and start talking. The hero is not looking forward to going back home as well. He hates being single for the holidays and just like all of those sad puppy dog eyes that his family gives him and gives him a hard time about being single for the holidays. And so he's like, hey, maybe we should like go back together and fake date and like help one another out. This one was just so cute and swoony. I love this author's writing so much. The hero in here is the most sweet, protective, caring hero there could be. The Irish accents in the audiobook are fantastic. Highly recommend checking this one out. Next up is One Week with You by J.R. Jenner. I read this one last winter, loved it so much. This author, I want to read more of her books because I loved this one to pieces. I believe this was their debut as well, and they've had like a couple of releases since, so I need to get caught up. But this one is so perfect for Snowed In. This one's on KU and it's a novella as well. It's set around the holidays and it has a brother's best friend. I love in here how the characters are older as well. They're like in their 30s and 40s, which I really love and appreciate about this author's writing. All of her characters are always like older. So in this one we get forced proximity and they end up getting snowed in at a Scottish Highlands cottage together. So this one, like I said, it's a novella and it starts off with the heroine. She actually ends up getting fired from her job. Her boyfriend dumps her, like all the things that could go wrong before the holidays are. And so she's not really looking forward to going back to see her family. Like she loves them, but she just like wants to wallow in her own like self-pity for a little bit and be alone. So her brother's best friend, who always spends the holidays with her family, hears this. And so he offers up, hey, you can stay at my Scottish Highlands cottage. They live in London, but you can go stay at my cottage in Scotland and kind of just be alone for winter, with like one little caveat, and that's that she has to fake date, like be his fake date at his holiday work party. This one I loved. The hero has been in the heroine's life for years. He's her brother's best friend and he has been secretly pining for her for forever. So when she gets to the work Christmas party with him and is pretending to be his fake date, like all of his coworkers are like, oh my God, finally you guys are together, or finally we get to meet you. He's talked about you for years. And so it kind of clues her in that like, wait a minute, what's actually happening here? So after that realization, they kind of share a little moment and she rushes back off to the cottage. And so when he doesn't hear from her for a week, he kind of freaks out and decides to go and check on her. And that's when they get snowed in for Christmas together at the cottage. And it's just so cute. Highly recommend. Like I said, if you want older characters who are like more mature and open with their communication, I loved that about this one. It's a novella on KU. Highly recommend. Next, we have My Rival for Christmas by Sarah E. Green. So this is a new novella release from this winter, and I love this one two pieces. This one is so much fun. In this one, the hero and the heroine were former ice skating partners and now are turned rivals, hence the title of the novella. And so basically in here, it's been a couple years and you see them that they're now both at this kind of Canadian resort for the winter, and they end up having to come to terms with their old feelings and talk about their memories. And they kind of have to deal with the status of their relationship, of how they used to be really close and now they're not. And she has to figure out why he left her all those years ago. And so it kind of goes from there. We get a little snowed in moment as well. There's ice skating. It's just so wintry and cute. I love the banter in this one on KU. Highly recommend you check it out. Next up, we have The Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore. So some of these have like the entire story is a snowed in moment, and some of these they just have scenes of snowed in moments. And so this is one of those cases. So basically in here, the heroine, she purchases a Christmas tree farm and she actually hates Christmas. And it's a Christmas tree farm that kind of needs tender loving care and it needs to be brought back to life. And so it's kind of in despair, and the hero is in town visiting his sister. And so he decides to help the heroine. So it has kind of the grumpy heroine. He's wanting to help her. It's just so good and charming. I really love this series. If you want more of like a low angst, cozy small town series, this author definitely writes those. Next is A Second Chance Road Trip for Christmas by Jackie Lau. This is part of her Holiday with the Wongs series, and I really love this one. It's a novella and it's just so good. It's actually my favorite in the novella collection. So in this one, we follow the hero and the heroine. It's a second chance romance where basically the hero is kind of voluntold that him and his ex have to travel back together to go visit their families for the holidays. This takes place in Canada, and so they are road tripping together, and of course they get like a snow blizzard, snowed in situation on the road. They have to stay at this inn. There's only one room, and it kind of goes from there. I really love this one. Highly recommend. Next up is When She's Merry by Ruby Dixon. This is part of her Risdiverse series. So this is a little cute like wintry novella, part of this sci-fi alien romance series. I love the Risdiverse series and I feel like the novellas are so strong. So the heroine is a human living on this farming planet and the hero is the alien. He's kind of this like gruff, grumpy custodian of the planet. So he can't get over the fact that the heroine has kind of like domesticated this pet squirrel and he just sees it as like a wild rodent and he's just like disgusted over that fact. And so him and the heroine, they actually have to come to work together because the heroine wants to surprise one of her neighbors on the planet and give them a Christmas tree. And so the hero ends up kind of stepping in to help her and they get snowed in together, and it's just so cute and fun. Really love this one. So highly recommend. I'm just a Ruby Dixon stan. Next up is All I Want for Christmas is a Cowboy by Jessica Clare. This one gives like cozy, feel good, Christmassy, Hallmarky vibes, but like set in a Western kind of cowboy ranch setting. So in this one, the heroine has amnesia and the hero is this gruff cowboy. And so basically he has agreed to to stay at the ranch for the holiday season. He grew up as a foster kid and has just never gotten the love for Christmas, and so he is one of the ranch hands who decides to stay and work the ranch for the Christmas season. And so the heroine is from Manhattan, and she decides to go away to her family's cabin for the winter season. She wants to get away from her, I think, boss's boyfriend, who's like giving her a hard time, making her life terrible. And so she decides to take off, and she gets into kind of a car accident situation. So the hero finds her, and so when he finds her and she finally wakes up, they realize that she has amnesia. And so he's like, well, you have to stay, and like, I'll take care of you at this ranch house together. They're snowed in. It has like Christmas vibes. It's just so good. Highly recommend. I think the audios for this whole series were on like Hoopla and Libby, so definitely check it out. I had a good time with this one. Next up is Let It Snow by Casey Cross. So this is a KU novella. Highly recommend this one. It's so short and sweet. This is a friends to lovers kind of a road trip situation as well. They decide to go on one kind of last road trip together to, I think, deliver the heroine to either like a new job or college or something like that. And so they are traveling together. There's mutual pining. Neither realizes or wants to like make the first move and mess up their like long childhood friendship. And so it kind of goes from there. It's so cute and sweet. Highly recommend. Next up is Snowstorm by Casey Mint. So this is a KU novella, and it is so like insta-lovey, but really cute and sweet. So the heroine is an American art student, and she is on this kind of like tourist trip in England. And so they're visiting this ducal estate to see all of the kind of art things there. And the heroine ends up accidentally falling asleep in the gallery and gets left behind. And so when the hero shows up, he's the duke of a said estate, and he first assumes she's like paparazzi or a thief or something like that. But then he ends up quickly falling for her. Like I said, this author just writes like very insta-lovey, cute, fun, little like really quick novellas. I highly recommend. Next is Deck the Halls with Love by Lorraine Heath. So this is a novella that's part of her Lost Lords of Pembroke series. This one's a historical romance. It's a novella. It's a second chance. Basically in here, the hero and the heroine, they had a little thing in the past where the heroine fell in love with the hero, and he ended up breaking her heart by proposing to somebody else. So things end up kind of falling apart with that situation for him. And so he's able to now go pursue the heroine, and now she is the one engaged and on the way to the altar. And so it kind of goes from there. This one we have a snowstorm where they're forced to stay in this abandoned castle together. We have ice skating. There's just a lot of really cute wintry moments in this one. Highly recommend. Lorraine Heath is one of my historical romance queens, and I loved this novella. Next is Just for the Holidays by Adriana Herrera. This one is so much fun. This one we get snowed in, of course. This is a contemporary with second chance. We have fake dating. We get only one bed. The hero in here is an actor, and the heroine is actually a kind of casting director now. And so basically she comes to him with an idea for a project she's working on, and they end up having to collab together. And then when his family gets there, they assume that they have gotten back together. And so they kind of just have to play into it, and they get kind of snowed in together, and they're trying to work together. And it's a really fun time. This one is on audio. I know from like Hoopla, Libby. Definitely check it out. I had a good time with this one. All right, next to this one I haven't read yet. So this is Bouquets and Buckles by Elliot Rose. So this is, I think, part of their Crimson Ridge series. I think all of the series kind of has similar covers. So I saw this one recommended recently and want to check out, honestly, all the books from this author. So this one is a novella, and let's see what it is about. All right, so this one says, my plan was to visit my boyfriend back home in Crimson Ridge for the holidays, except my surprise trip after shutting up in my florist shop for the festive season only ended up revealing the worst kind of betrayal. Now I'm hiding from the guy I just caught cheating on me while stranded with a flat tire and a snowstorm approaching. All it took was a slip of my thumb, a press of the wrong contact name in my phone. Instead of dialing my best friend for help, I accidentally called my lifelong cowboy crush, my best friend's father. Okay, wait a minute. Not since last year's New Year's Eve. Wait. If we get snowed in together on his ranch tonight, how am I supposed to resist my every teenage fantasy when he's looking at me like that? Okay, this one sounds like a lot of fun, so maybe I need to check it out sooner than later. This sounds so cute and fun. All right, and then kind of jumping gears into an emotional one, this is Two of a Kind by Ashley Pine and Eden Emery. So this one is a sapphic holiday romance, and we have a snowed in moment. This one has more of an emotional kind of grief element to it as well. Basically in here, the two heroines, they have had a mutual person in their life recently pass away. And so it was one of the heroines' best friends, and it was the other heroine's fiance. And so they're dealing a lot with the grief and loss of that. And then they end up connecting as well during this kind of like holiday cabin party together. And so it kind of goes from there. Sapphic romance with more of an emotional element. So yeah, definitely check out that one. I think it's on KU. It's a novella as well. Next is A Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. So I read this one last year and loved it so much. It was one of my favorites. This one is a full-length book, and so it is a second chance romance, brother's best friend, childhood friends to lovers. It has chronic illness rep. The heroine in here has lupus. We get snowed in, and then we have both Christmas and Hanukkah representation in this one. So this one's told in dual timeline. So in the current day, the hero and the heroine are snowed in together, and they're kind of reminiscing, or you're seeing the flashbacks of of their kind of childhood and connection and all their moments throughout the years that have gotten them to this point. Highly recommend this one. It's just so good. There's caretaking and it's just so sweet, and I loved the connection between these two characters and their rich history and past together. Highly recommend checking it out. Next is AIS and Nose by Kayla Grouse. So this one is an MMF romance where basically this lumberjack couple, they're married, they end up having somebody kind of break down in front of their house or their cabin, and so they end up taking that hero in and want him to become their third and their kind of like relationship situation. And so it becomes them as like a throuple. There are always like emotional elements to this author's writing, and she always writes really great like plus size rep for all of her characters, so I really liked that. She just delivers on like some spicy but like emotional times too. So yeah, this was her newest release this year and I enjoyed it. All right, the next one I haven't read yet, so this is Snowden Bite by S.G. Tilley. So this one is a novella, kind of, there's a trilogy of novellas, and I believe we're following the same couple in all of them. So I read the first one in this series last winter, and this is the newest one this winter, and then there's a New Year's Eve one as well, and I believe they're all with the same couple. So I need to get to it because this one just released on December 10th, and so I'm excited to get to it. It's kind of like a baking world where the heroine is a baker on kind of like a Great British Bake Off type of theme. There's an age gap. The hero is the silver-haired fox, the older judge on the show, and the heroine is the baker. She's plus size, and it kind of goes from there. Next is Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. So this is part of the recent Under the Mistletoe collection that was on KU Read and Listen. So if you grab the KU, you get the audiobook with it. This one I binged the whole novella series, and so I have a whole breakdown of each book in it. So I will link that in the description of the video. Basically in this one though, there is a brother's best friend. They get snowed in together. The hero has always been pining for the heroine, and now it is like his chance, and he's just so sweet. This was actually one of my favorites in the series. Next is A Highland Christmas by Samantha Young. So this is a really quick KU novella that's part of her Highland series, which her Highland series recently finished up. This one I want to say is like book maybe 2.5 or something in the series. So even if you're not caught up, you could go and read this one. Basically Scottish Highlands, small town, a little bit of like romantic suspense elements to it, and that is the basis of this whole series. All right, the next one I haven't read yet. So this is Noelle Adams' Stranded in the Snow, and it's part of her Holiday Acres series. So I wanted to check it out. Noelle Adams is actually the same author that is the other pen name for Claire Kent, and so this is her main pen name that she writes under, and so I definitely want to check out some of her Noelle Adams books because I've only read her Claire Kent ones, which I love. So this one I grabbed recently. I think it was like a freebie or something, and so I grabbed it. So I want to check this one out soon. All right, and then lastly we have Christmas Cupid by Ilse Madden Mills. So this one is a brother's best friend kind of teammate hockey player situation. The heroine is a cowboy boot designer. I really love the pink on here. I will say this one isn't really my favorite, but I know some people who have a good time with it if you want kind of more of like a rom-com-y type of like just dramatic entertaining time. So in this one, the heroine's brother ends up offering up a cabin or a house for her to stay in for the winter season. And so she gets there assuming she'll have the place to herself. And then her brother forgot that he also lent out the place to his best friend and teammate, the hero. And so they have to kind of share the place together, and they kind of have this animosity at first, but then they realize it's really like kind of some mutual pining, and it goes from there. All right, so those are all of the Snowden romance recs I have for you today. Like I said, a lot of these are really perfect just for winter in general. And so hopefully you pick up some new ones to check out. If you have any to recommend me, definitely drop them in the comments because I love the forced proximity snowed in romance trope. So I want to read all of them. So definitely drop some in the comments. If you're going to pick any of these up, definitely let me know as well. Or if you've read any of these, I would love to know which ones were your favorites. If you'd like to leave me an emoji in the comments today to let me know that you watched this video, leave me a snowflake emoji since we're talking about all the snowed in vibes. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!